Okay, welcome back everyone. For today's video, we continue with the speed run. I think we just crossed 900. I don't remember exactly, but we still played d4 and then c4, right? And here in this structure, you always want to develop the knight. Normally, your opponent can take, so you develop e3. Let's see what the opponent do. We can develop the bishop here, develop the knight. We don't really run out of ideas, so we have different options in this position. Okay, the opponent takes the pawn, so I'm gonna play e3, recovering the pawn right away. Alright, we just take back the pawn. Then, whoa, that's, to me, looks like a dubious move. I don't know how to exactly punish it immediately. I mean, I can take the pawn and he can trade queens. So that's generally a bad idea. Probably for an experienced player like myself, semi-experienced, I'm not like grandmaster, this will be a bad idea. It's going to be a good idea, sorry. But maybe I can play queen b3 here in this pawn. So I think that's a good idea. Queen b3, knight a5. Can give a check. King has to move. Can even offer the threat of queens, maybe here. Okay, probably a playable line. So even if he puts the knight here, I can take the pawn. King has to move, and maybe even later offer the threat of queens on this square queen d5. Or he can also defend the pawn, right? Here or here is all good. Now how do I prevent this move from even happening? I don't see anything here, so maybe bishop b5 is fine. I can also play a little bit more aggressive and go for e4. But you know what? I want you to play solid, so I don't think it will be a very good teachable moment to play e4. So in this case, I'm just going to develop the knight and see if he plays this, deal with this threat later. So that's always uncomfortable, right? When the knight is hitting your bishop and your queen. Okay, he just takes the pawn. I'm gonna take back here. My pawn is being protected. I'm threatening to take this knight and get the queen the next. Oof, that looks dubious to me. Yeah, that looks dubious. So he's hitting my queen. Yeah, that looks dubious to me. I don't know. He's gonna take here. I can castle. The safest move is to castle, right? I can eliminate his knight. However, he's gonna have a lot of tempos. So just because my pieces are better developed, the best option for me is to continue development, or in this case, get my king to safety. My rook has the open file next. Yeah, this looks very, very dubious to me. So we have a bunch of ideas here, here. All right, I think that's a good defense. So if I take here, he's gonna have to take back with the pawn to keep this protected. So first I'm gonna throw in a check. Now he has to deal with the threat, with this threat, by playing bishop to d7. And I feel like I can take now. I can take the knight. Again, he has to take back with the pawn. I also have this tempo. I have a beautiful tempo of knight d5. Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble. So knight d5 is difficult to manage, right? I'm hitting the queen, I'm hitting the bishop. This is happening. I can also have this threat, knight c7, hitting these two pieces. So that is just the importance of developing your pieces first instead of pushing pawns. He wanted to open up the center. We can review that later. But he made this push pawn. He pushed the pawn early on in the game. First with e5 and later with d4. And now how do you handle this position? It's completely losing. I'm gonna give a check here. He's winning the piece. Now he's forced to move. Okay, I can take here and then bring my rook into the game. Let me see if I have something else. I can always win this pawn. I think the best move might be just to take this pawn, because it will get messy, right? I think it will get messy if it takes, and then he can play c6. c6, my rook will be here. Okay, let's just take. I don't care. I don't care because it looks like everything is winning in this position anyway, so I'm gonna do it. Rook d1. Now the problem is that my rook is hanging. It's kind of hanging. I might be able to take this pawn. The rook c8. I don't know, it feels like everything is completely losing for... So I'm gonna be materialistic a little bit in this position. He's gonna have to move the rook. And I must just have mating 1 or 2, I don't know. I don't see it. If I play this drops the rook. If I play this, yeah, I don't see a good continuation though. Or I can take, takes. Oh yeah, I can just win the queen. I can take, he's forced to take. I can play this. Okay, let's just go there. And now I'm gonna win the queen. Yeah, I win the queen anyway. So there must be some kind of mating 3 that I'm missing. Mating 3 or 4. Anything is winning anyway. Okay, so let's do a game review on this game. Okay, let's look at the game review. With the computer, I thought I had made more mistakes, but it wasn't as bad. So here we're playing the Queen's Gambit structure, and he takes my pawn. I play e3, recovering the pawn back. It's all good. So now he has to develop the bishop, the knight, the bishop, castle, the game continues, right? But instead he decided to push the pawn early on e5. I didn't know, that's a strange move, that's a strange looking move. I didn't know how to punish it instantly, so I can just play knight f3. Just continue your normal theory that you know, developing your knights. And then if he takes, I can just take here, and again we continue. But alright, so I developed my queen, trying to hit this pawn, and he protected, right? So everything is kind of playable at this point. Here he took this knight, which looks like he took this pawn, which is look like is completely losing the game. Now, yeah, I can get rid of this knight, right? I wasn't so sure about that. I can give a check here, and then the continuation I don't think is very important, because he's completely winning anyway. Pretty much anything you play, as long as you don't plunder any pieces, you don't allow ideas like rook g8. Well, you can allow it, but you can just play something like g3, right? Avoiding the checkmate. Yeah, everything is winning in this position. Here I have tactics, I can win the queen. And then my opponent resigned. This is mating 4. Okay. And now let's get on with another game. We're past 900 now, which is not that surprising, but I am kind of a regular player. Maybe close to being a FIDE master in terms of level, but Okay, so how do we punish this? There might be a way to punish it. Because if I get here, I allow the bishop to come out. So instead, I'm gonna play this move e5. I'm not an e5 player, but now this bishop is stuck in this square. He's gonna have to waste more moves, right? Okay, let's go d6, keeping an eye on the pawn. Ah, excuse me. So, usually bishop to g5, bishop to g4, the little theory I know, is not the best move, right? Because the knight can take here. But see, now he had to waste another move. Waste another tempo to make that move. So, I guess his objective is to put the knight here. I can take back, but my bishop will be hanging. So, I'm gonna play h5. And here, yeah, this will be a permanent weakness for the rest of the game. So I'm actually happy that he played this move. So, yeah, let's go here. I am calculating this move next. What can I do to counter it? Let's just go bishop e7. Bishop e7. Now the knight cannot move here. Or the bishop. Okay, let's develop the knight. Yeah, he's taking me a little bit out of theory. I was gonna play the Caro-Kann, but now there's no reason to play it anymore. So this will get interesting. I'm gonna grab more space on a5. Yeah, usually I think I just wanna take this pawn because this can get kind of ugly, right? d5, I will have to take, takes, and he has the queen here. So I'm just gonna take and avoid all issues. Now I can get this pose. My bishop is also kind of hanging. My biggest problem is not this bishop, it's actually this pawn. Yeah, this pawn is hanging. So I might want to play this. Knight f6, protecting the pawn. Yeah, he takes the bishop now, but I think it's still fine. We're still doing good. No, that's an interesting move. The queen to e1. What is the big idea here? So if I play knight f5, he hits immediately. I'm gonna get my queen out. Avoiding this move. And if he gets... Yeah, he's preparing bishop to e3. Right, he didn't want to hand the pawn. Let's see, what can I do? Maybe I can do this. No, how does that work? I think he's outplaying me. Probably he knows this line better than I do. Or he's just more familiar. Let's do... He definitely wants to play this. I don't see a way to avoid it. But maybe knight h7, bishop g5. Hands the pawn, though. Hands this pawn. What about this move? d5. d5. Okay, I think I have to go for it. d5. it's a move I didn't want to make, but here I can trade bishops. Wait, I think he also made a mistake. I think he just forked his 2 pieces. I think he walked into the fork. So we have tactics here. Yeah, he didn't consider my move, right? He was so focused on playing bishop to... Okay, yeah, but I can just retreat here. Okay. But now that hands this pawn. And I think it also hands this... the knight. Where do you put the knight? If I take, he takes, I take. It gets a bit messy, but I think I can win the knight meanwhile. Yeah, this knight is trapped. Yeah, you have to think about what your opponent wants to do first, right? It took me a while to figure out how to counter his idea. And here, yeah, I can just take. I can take back with the knight maybe? He wants to hit my knight first. I can take with the bishop. I guess everything is fine. Okay, my instinct is telling me to take back with the knight, just because I have more flexibility. I could have taken with the bishop or the pawn even, and I actually want this to happen e5, because now how do you... they don't have any pawn breaks. I can put my knight on any square. If I go here, it runs into this, so let's just do something safe, more solid. I'm gonna hit the pawn. Yeah, he was trying probably to create some counterplay, and now he's just hanging the bishop. That's just very... I don't see any tactics to follow up on this, so I'm gonna take this bishop. And then he resigned. Okay, that was an interesting game. Let's do a game review. Alright guys, so let's do a game review. He played e4, so my plan was to go c6 and then d5. But the plans changed for me when he played bishop to d3, right? So I was like, okay, once I play this, takes, he has this bishop move, which is not a big deal. I can just protect. But I wanted to punish this bishop, right? Okay, we went for a different line where I got e5, knight f3, d6, castle, bishop to g4. Okay, and then here, the best move in the position was actually just to take the knight. But I want to keep bishops on the board. Okay, he plays this. And now probably his idea is to go something like, I don't know, knight to g5. Bishop to e7 to prevent that idea. Knight to c3, knight to d7, a3, a5, d4. He takes on d4, he takes, knight takes. The game continues. And here was my dilemma. Queen to b6. He wants to play this move, right? But he cannot do it immediately because that hands the pawn and the game gets messy. So he protects the pawn with the rook, d5. According to the computer, it's giving me some really terrible ideas, like queen c7, castling, or a4 is even playable. But I guess against this opponent, I play the best move, d5, right? Because he completely ignored my idea, and then I can just fork the 2 pieces. As you saw later, that traps the knight. And I was calculating which one do I take. It turns out the best move, according to the engine, is to take back with the bishop, protecting the pawn. I was just afraid of something like this. f4 and then e5 later. But okay, that's just my human normal brain, but silicon brains don't have any fear. Okay, then I just get my knight out. Here, I think also important to say that this move, knight d5, I think he would have run into this, something like this. Here, let's say I take, and then the knight, okay, he takes, and then the knight can come out. That's why I didn't want to play this move. Okay, I just go back, and I can take back the knight. He later hunt the bishop. I don't know why. What was that move? And yeah, he resigned. Okay, this is gonna be another game for the speed run, and we're gonna get e4, let's play c6, one of the best setups you can have against e4, the Caro-Kann. So he's gonna go for the exchange variation. Let's develop the knight, keeping an eye on the pawn. Let's get the other knight out. And here this is a very classical move where they want to target the knight right away. Probably they have this idea later, so I will protect it with the bishop. Protect this knight with the bishop. And if they want to come out here, I can always take back with the knight, right? So, if I'm not mistaken, this might be an inaccuracy because I have this move. Knight to e4, right? I'm hitting the bishop, he takes back with the knight. I'm hitting this knight. So let's see, because this isn't the best way to play this variation. Because here I just take. Right, I just take here. And now the bishop is hanging. This bishop is hanging. And I can just take back with the knight. And I am up a full piece. The next move he also has to be careful. Probably missed it. But if he didn't castle, there was a geometry on the board, right? Okay, so the game continues here. Let me see how we can continue this game. It's completely winning, so this is sometimes harder to come up with plans when you're winning. But okay, I believe I can even play this move, kicking out the bishop, but let's do h6, kicking out the bishop anyway. So I want to get my knight here, but I also don't want to ruin too much my pawn structure. And he has some symbol like GM Key Magnus. How dare you? Magnus would never play like this. But okay, so it's all good. I believe he's gonna run down the clock. Yeah, there's nothing to do. Unfortunately, here we can cut down the video to the moment he resigns, or maybe he's deciding what to play, right? But yeah, I guess that's why we sign up to these games. I guess if you want to resign, just resign. Don't run down the clock, because that also discourages other people from playing chess. Like, you cannot have this sportsmanship against other players. Okay, he decided to make a move, retreating the bishop. So now let's just go g5. Now we can develop the knight. Then e6. Can get my bishop out. I can also fianchetto my bishop. Also looks good. Maybe. Okay. But first and foremost, I'm going to develop my knight here. Keeping an eye on the pawn. And also maybe even stopping d5, right? Okay, I thought about that. That's a good move. Bishop e5. So in this case, I have to develop, if I uncheated the bishop, keeping an eye on the knight, and then castle, right? Oh, wow. That's a terrible move. That's a terrible move because it allows me to take back and also get rid of this pawn. So now he's eyeing for a e4 pawn with the rook. But this is just, it's too much, right? It's too much. I can get down to simplification. So I'm gonna take the pawn. If he takes, I just take. So I'm gonna take here. If he wants to take, I will take this pawn too. Yeah, I can just take here. He can bring the rook, and I can just defend. So yeah, this is too much. This is too much. You have a great bishop. Don't get rid of it. Instead, just keep the tension, right? He had the great bishop. Just keep the tension on the board. That is a good move. I think I'm hanging the pawn. So I'm just gonna go back and defend here and then castle, right? I don't really care that much about this pawn anyway. It's completely winning. Alright, let's just castle. We're still a full piece, the bishop. Now I'm gonna get my rook out into the open file and target these two pawns. Maybe he wants to trade the rooks here. What do I do? Let's just give a check first. Now the king has to move. I can throw in another check, provoking more weaknesses. So I'm gonna provoke him to play g3. And now this pawn is even more undefended, right? More weak. I think he has in mind to trade rooks, which is not even possible anymore because that just hands the piece. But I'm still going to keep an eye on this one. So let's just hit this rook, and then I have a lot of ideas, right? Everything is winning. Okay. Now, I guess always a good idea to push the pawn and then go here, but I'm hitting so many pawns with this move that I don't have to activate my rook just yet. But yeah, you want to activate your rook as soon as possible. But as I have immediate material gain, I don't have to move it. So I think the best defense is just to play king g2. I win the pawn anyway. Okay, win the pawn. Okay, let's stop the pawn and maybe even play bishop e4 next. And trying to attack this pawn. All right, so I'm gonna go here, protecting my pawn. Now I can activate my other rook. And I just realized this hands... Oh no, it doesn't have anything, sorry. For a second I thought... let's go... excuse me. Let's go here, rook d8. This is the idea, right? Oh wow, I found my pawn. I don't know why I did that. So... I don't see a problem here anyway. Yeah, I still have to be careful. He has this check, but I just move my rook. Okay, let's go for the attack. It should still be winning, right? The problem is now he doesn't have a way to defend the f-pawn. He's going after this, but after I give a check, this should be a mating net, a mating combination. So I'm gonna go here, even win this pawn. Can go here too. Why is this checkmate? This is checkmate, right? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, this pawn, this square was completely cut off, so that helped me with the checkmate. Let's do again review. Okay, guys. So let's do again review. You're gonna have this variation, this type of configuration in thousands of your games. Here where you trade pawns, you have the D pawn for both sides. So probably white has some ideas here of playing c4 later, right? Okay, but this is very common. Developing the knight, developing the bishop, and getting some attack. So how do you handle this? Here, you can develop your bishop here, but I always wait and develop my knight first, because they can do this. Okay, now this is the best way to defend, according to me. So you just develop defend the knight. It looks passive, you can still go for this idea, right? These two ideas really work. But now, in my opinion, this is an inaccuracy, because the best move is just to target this diagonal. And you even have ideas of knight c5 later. But alright, in this case I went for this little trick where I'm hitting his bishop, and then he went for the trap. Okay, he takes, it's still playable, still a good move. Now he has to retreat the knight. He can go here, for example, and hit my pawn. It's still playable. But he made a mistake, and now I can just take. Right now his bishop is hanging, and the moment he took, as you saw it, yeah, I can just go back with the knight, and I am up a full piece. And the rest was super easy. It was very easy to play. Something else I would like to mention. Here he took my knight. The computer is saying that's okay, but no, this is like the best piece in your position, and you're trading it for my worst piece. What is this? Okay, now I can just take 3 pieces. The end game, I guess, is not super important because we are up a piece. Let's see if I made a mistake here. No mistakes, not really. Yeah, I blundered this pawn, but it turns out to be a mistake. He has to play h4 instead, because now this is coming, right? This is inevitable. Okay, and now we have this mating combination.